Shinobi on the PS2 is a unique video game that holds a special place in my childhood, so you could probably understand the surprise and excitement I had when I found out it has a direct sequel. No, it's not recent or anything, I just didn't know about it. The game is called Nightshade in North America and is known as Kunoichi in Japan. Why they didn't keep the name Kunoichi when Shinobi is still Shinobi? Couldn't tell ya. It was released on December 4th, 2003 in Japan and in February 2004 in North America. Not a lot of people played this game. From what I could find, Nightshade only sold around 120,000 units worldwide, nearly 10 times less than its predecessor. People also say that because the new Ninja Gaiden game came out around the same time, it may have had an impact on its sales as well. About a year ago, I said that I would come around to this game, and I have finally done so. And let me tell you, it was not easy. Does the game hold up? Is it better than Shinobi? Let's find out and dive right into Nightshade for the PlayStation 2. The story of Nightshade begins only a year after the events of Shinobi. Hotsuma defeats Hiriko and sacrifices himself in an attempt to take the cursed sword Akujiki with him under the rubble of the sorcerer's crumbling palace. Kagari, the girl who originally sealed the sword away to stop the spread of Hellspawn in Tokyo, finds Akujiki and breaks it into 9 pieces, scattering them across the city. The shady corporation known as the Nakatomi Conglomerate sends ninjas into Tokyo, claiming to help with the relief from the destruction caused by Hiriko. But as it turns out, they're actually looking for the pieces of Akujiki in order to wield its power for themselves. The seal keeping the Hellspawn demons locked away is broken, and another golden palace appears as they roam free once again. Can you imagine the relief crew? They've been trying to fix Tokyo and clean away the debris for a year, and then all of a sudden, boom, another fucking disaster. So, to save Tokyo, the government hires a female ninja by the name of Hibana to stop Nakatomi's mercenary Shinobi and retrieve all the pieces of Akujiki to stop them from wreaking havoc. You know, I actually really like this story. I like that it's fresh off the heels of Shinobi and not some weird Neo-Tokyo City type deal, 100 years in the future or something like that. Except there's invisible jets. And robot samurai. Okay, see, now I'm confused. The first stage starts up and holy shit, there is so much happening right off the bat. You're fighting bad guys on top of flying invisible jets while kicking missiles away and... that's funny. The flavor of this opening stage seems familiar. It tastes kind of like Bayonetta 2. I wonder if this was an inspiration for that in any way. Now for its time, this game looks pretty good, but like Shinobi, Nightshade sacrifices visuals to compensate for its high-speed gameplay. So again, some of these levels are pretty bland, samey, and empty. Nothing's worse than getting stuck in a level, running around in circles because everything looks the same and it's not clear where to go next. And Nightshade has its moments when it comes to that. What's different is that there's some depth and a wider variety of stages this time around. Nightshade has nearly double the amount of stages Shinobi has, so it's got a lot to offer. We get a taste of this from the very first level on the jet. A moving stage like this is a first for these Shinobi games, and there's a few more levels like it throughout the adventure. The speedboat stage is kind of a bitch though. Another cool thing that Nightshade has that Shinobi doesn't is a playable tutorial. Nightshade plays just like its predecessor, but it's added some new moves as well. Could have gone with an improvement with the committed jumping arc this time around, but I guess that's asking for too much. You still have your old arsenal of weapons, including shurikens and 3 different ninjutsu techniques, which are good for getting the edge in a boss fight or a screen crowded with enemies. What's new is you now have a designated button for kicking, which can be used to either stun enemies or break their shields. You can even use it in the air, where it doubles as an air dash. This introduces a new fast reaction combo type gameplay in which you must decide whether to deliver a kick, a slash, or a dash. You have several actions you can perform in the air and on the ground that can be chained together for some seriously stylish gameplay. They really polished the combat between Shinobi and Nightshade. And speaking of the gameplay, the Tate system is also back in Nightshade. It works the same way in which you chain defeated enemies in a row within a short time frame, with your damage output increasing with each foe cut down to get huge combos. The only difference is, in Nightshade, you don't wield the soul-eating sword Akujiki that would normally kill you for not getting enough enemy souls to feed it. Killing all enemies in a stage is now just a thing to do for points, which is alright. I kind of miss the demand for needing to cut down enemies constantly though. It's something that made Shinobi stand out to me. So while not necessary anymore, it is still very much encouraged. But I kinda suck at clearing an entire stage of enemies and not dying, so my scores were pretty bad. The game does offer a lot more opportunities for Tate combos, however. There are some areas where the enemies continue to spawn like crazy and can lead to Tate combos of up to 30 enemies at once. It's pretty cool to watch. It's even easier now to see how much time you have left to combo with this visible depleting bar. Not only that, but you have an added spinning sword attack that can be used to extend the timer, and also fills up another meter known as the chakra gauge. With the chakra gauge, you can use a superpowered charge attack that creates these clones that rush in on whatever opponent is being targeted. When the meter is full, this attack does some serious damage. It's mostly reserved for the bosses, where it's definitely most useful. Unlike Shinobi bosses, where a large Tate chain would be enough to take one down, in Nightshade you need to be using this special attack. I foolishly wasn't taking advantage of this charged attack, and taking down the bosses without it takes a bit of a long time. The idea is to fill up your chakra gauge as much as possible in the regular stages, and then when you get to the boss at the end, get a large Tate chain going, and then before it runs out, use the charge attack. This will take out a boss from full health most of the time if you can do it just right, but that's easier said than done. Nightshade's bosses consist of the rogue ninja working under Hibana's mentor Jamushi, and more hellspawn demons that are ravaging the city. The hellspawn demons are all these well-designed insect-type monsters that make for some really fun and challenging fights. They have such unique designs and attack patterns that'll keep you on your toes. They kinda remind me of Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters you would find in Weevil Underwood's deck, and I love that. But they are nothing compared to the rogue ninjas you fight after Stage 5. Holy fuck, these guys are difficult. Like this dude. This Sasuke Zabuza love child looking motherfucker was the first huge hurdle in the game for me. Fun fact, he's also voiced by Kevin Miller, aka Sly Cooper.
Do you read me, sitting duck?
I want you to kill me.
No,
I'm sure you can do it.
He uses fireworks and pyrotechnic attacks to do ridiculous amounts of damage, and he is constantly jumping away and covering the entire stage in flames. I want to say it took me about an hour to whittle him down, but I kinda lost track. So yeah, make sure to use that damn chakra attack, or you're just making the fights a whole lot longer than they need to be. I don't think the characters in Nightshade were as interesting as the ones in Shinobi. In Shinobi, I was curious about these characters being the main protagonists' reanimated clan members. Here it's just a bunch of random ninjas hired by the government. I mean, they do have their own unique personalities, I guess.
Come on, baby. Cut me open. I'll love you until I die, baby. It feels so good. Kill me, baby.
I don't like where this is going.
Oh yeah, by the way, this game's cutscenes are even cheesier than Shinobi's, at least the English track. They try to be all super dramatic, but it just comes off as trying too hard to be edgy and dark. Like this boss, who's the first of the mercenaries that you defeat in battle. Of course he's got something to say with his dying breath.
You are truly strong. I am glad you were my 1000th opponent.
Oh god, of course I was your 1000th opponent, you dick. Because it's so poetic, right? You see what I mean here? Honestly, the more serious the situation is, the funnier it gets.
Let me go! Why won't you let me die?
Why won't you let me die?
Oh, these guys are bad, but the biggest offender is Hibana herself. According to the game's lore, she's grown cynical and tired after being adopted and abandoned by her own master. You know, having a hard life growing up. But honestly, every line that comes out of her mouth either makes me groan with disappointment or laugh.
I'm sorry, were you talking to me? Traitor, how could you kill your own ally? Damn. Now I just feel dirty.
Not to mention her delivery is just so bland, but don't worry, she'll spice things up with her catchphrase.
This really isn't my day. Looks like today was your day. Today's just not my day. Today isn't your day. You better hope your warranty is still good.
Going back to the bosses, they're pretty enjoyable and challenging fights, but of course it wouldn't be a Shinobi game if it wasn't unfair in some spots. Jamushi. He isn't even the final boss, but holy hell, he sure felt like the final boss from the last one. The gimmick here is that Jamushi is constantly changing the landscape and teleporting around the stage, so after every hit you land, you gotta plan a new route just to get to him. The enemies in this stage will usually spawn in a path that leads directly to him, so you can attack Jamushi with a decent Tate combo every time. But every now and then, he can chase you down with these spears that pop out of the ground wherever you stand. If you're standing on the ground for more than 3 seconds, you're gonna get skewered. You can pick up health in this stage by destroying the surrounding barriers, but to run on the ground for that long just leaves you open to more spear attacks, which are already hard enough to avoid. There was a point where I started to kill myself in the middle of the match because of a bad start that I didn't see myself recovering from. So Jamushi gets the most annoying boss award, but let me tell you about the coolest boss in the game. The Hellspawn Queen. This fight is unlike any other in the whole game. 1. The Hellspawn Queen is huge and has one of the coolest monster designs I've ever seen. 2. It's a fun and challenging fight. 3. The music is the best theme in the entire game, probably the best between this and Shinobi. Just listen to this. Damn! This beat goes hard. And not just this song either. Nightshade's soundtrack is full of absolute gems. It has the same techno Japanese theme that Shinobi had going for it, and it takes it to the next level. More songs to add to my playlist of awesome video game music. Like Shinobi, Nightshade is a really difficult arcade-style try again and again type of game. The later stages, starting with the Golden Palace onward, are some of the most frustrating levels I have ever had to put myself through, and I am not kidding. With a lot of bottomless pits, vertical climbing with a shit camera, and small platforms, this was hell to go through.
It's not my day.
Oh, shut up, Hibana. But none of it could have prepared me for the final boss of this game. Spoilers ahead, of course. Skip to this part. The final fight is with the cyborg from the beginning of the game who gains some sort of sentience and wants the power of Akujiki for himself. Honestly, between getting stomped on in every single level repeatedly and having to listen to Hibana's voice for so long, the story got a little bit fuzzy. And the fight with him is one of the most difficult bosses I've ever had to face. It took me an entire afternoon and evening to defeat him. Don't get me wrong, I've been stuck on bosses for longer than that, but I just wanted to see the end of the game already. And boy did I suffer for it. This was torture. You need absolute perfection to say the least, otherwise you're not gonna make the cut. If you don't move fast enough to respond to the openings in his attacks, which there are very few of, he will punish you every single time. For the first half of the fight, you can't damage him that much, and the second phase where he's more vulnerable just gets harder. He uses a clone attack in which you need to go around in a circle to kill his duplicates as fast as possible to get a huge Tate and land an all-powerful charge attack on him. If you mess up and are even a fraction of a second late to slashing them within a certain time frame, he will kill you every time by unleashing an attack that covers the entire floor. It's basically all or nothing once you get to this part because it does a ridiculous amount of damage. And don't follow him too closely because he'll use that goddamn sword swing attack, which I'm convinced is a one-hit KO move. Rage. This last fight is nothing but rage, and it will accept nothing but the absolute best. But thank the Lord, somehow I finally beat it. God damn, it feels good to be a gangster. So in exchange for your suffering, Nightshade allows you to play as multiple characters, just like in Shinobi, including Hotsuma himself if you have Shinobi save data on your memory card. There's also some extra little bonuses like costumes and concept art, which can all be unlocked by playing on harder difficulties and grabbing the collectible clan coins. I am more than good, however. Typically I like collecting that sort of stuff in video games, but that last fight took everything out of me. I think it'll be a while before I revisit this one. So, is Nightshade a good game? I'm going to say yes, but it does have its issues. It's a more polished product than Shinobi, and it made the best parts of that game even better for the sequel. The issue is that it suffers from a lot of the same problems Shinobi has. The inverted camera is hard to work with, and some of the levels designed for platforming are not fun to try and navigate with the committed jumping arc. I guess you could say it's part of the challenge, but it's frustrating when I'm pretty decent at the combos, but I can die at any time and have to restart an entire level just because I can't properly control my position in the air. So yeah, it's a little rough around the edges, but you do get a lot of enjoyment from this one. With some creative stages and fun boss battles, I'd say Nightshade is definitely worth playing. Is it better than Shinobi? I mean, it's technically a better game and I did have a lot of fun with it, but personally I like Shinobi better. Only because I grew up with it and it's not as much of a grind if I want to play it again for fun in the future. But if you've played Shinobi and are curious about its sequel, or you're just looking for a challenge, then I recommend giving this game a shot. Or if you hate yourself and want an excuse to plant a DualShock 2 in your television screen, then by all means, give Nightshade a shot. But seriously, it's a great game, it's really cool, and a hidden gem for the PlayStation 2, so I'll definitely play it again. And with that, I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and hope you stick around to see more from me in the future. Alright guys, peace.